then burning churches certainly took things to a new level. But these actions say less about metal's theatrics than they do about Norwegian cultural sensibilities. Resentment towards Christianity in Norway stretches back 1,000 years to their Viking ancestors. In any case, the majority of metal fans, including myself, could never understand or defend these extreme actions.
I love going to Norway and Denmark because I love picking up the black metal magazines. It's so Spinal Tap because each band is trying to be more wicked and evil than the other band, you know. And it's, I can't turn the page without, you know, look at this one. You know, here's these guys in there. You know, and you know these guys when you meet them in the mall, they're, hello, Mr. Cooper, how are you? Nice to meet you. My mother's right over there. Could she have your autograph? And I said, I thought you guys were like Satans or something, you know. It's like, well, yeah, we are, but, you know. Very rarely do you meet anybody that's truly scary.
30 years ago, parents were losing sleep at night over Alice Cooper. Looking back, Alice seems harmless compared to church burners. But in the 70s, people thought he was actually killing babies and executing himself on stage, night after night.
Well, I mean, I was the poster boy for controversy. So in some ways, I think I invented it. Because, I mean, you know, we were the first band we got banned in England. We got banned, and nobody could figure out why they were banning us. We asked them in London, what are we banned for? And they couldn't name anything. I said, is there any nudity in our show? No. Is there any bad language in our show? No. I said, what are we being banned for? Well, there's blood in your show. Has anybody ever seen Macbeth? Some more blood in Macbeth than my show, and that's required reading in school. There was no real definitive rock vampire that was really the creature of the night, and that's what Alice was supposed to be. If you say, welcome to my nightmare, you don't just say it, you do it. Give them the nightmare. You know, show them the nightmare.
Since Alice Cooper, nightmarish images of death and violence in metal have only become more vivid. Nowhere is this more prevalent than in the most extreme subgenre, death metal. Building on thrash and black metal, death metal's ingredients are guttural vocals, machine gun guitars, and horrific album art. The most infamous band in this subgenre is Cannibal Corpse.
In Germany, the first 3 Cannibal Corpse albums are banned: Eaten Back to Life, Butchered at Birth, and Tomb of the Mutilated. Any songs from those records cannot be played by the band live. They're also banned in New Zealand, the first 3. We have to use alternate covers in Australia. A lot of stuff is banned in Korea.
There's evidence to demonstrate that the average young person growing up today sees more violence through popular culture than ever would occur in real life. This is being marketed in many instances to young people, particularly teenagers, who won't have the social context. They don't have the background of how violence has informed our human condition over the years. And so what they're left with is the glamorization of weapons and violence as a form of conflict resolution.
This is a band by the name of Cannibal Corpse. I don't know if you've heard of them. And they've been at the center of a significant amount of controversy regarding primarily their artwork. And this is their latest album, which was just released, called The Wretched Spawn. Tell me about what you think of that.
Well, it's things are even worse than I thought. I mean, you've obviously uncovered some of the latest leading-edge examples of what's out there in the music world. I mean, I just can't see how responsible societies could turn a blind eye to this kind of thing being sold and marketed to young people as a form of harmless entertainment.
First time somebody who knows nothing about the death metal scene, the first time they see, you know, one of our album covers or something like that, you know, it's going to shock them. If it doesn't, then, you know, we're not you know, we didn't make a very good album cover.
It's art. Just look at it as art. You know, yeah, it's disgusting, but I mean, there are lots of things. You go to the Vatican and look at some of the art there. Whew. That's real. That's representing something that's real that could happen. You know, this is just, obviously that's never going to happen. You know, monsters aren't going to come out of, aren't going to rip out of people's bodies anytime soon, I don't think.
On the one hand, as you see in lyrics by a band like Cannibal Corpse, there's this fascination with the possibilities of death and the body. On the other hand, there's this terrifying fear of it. There's an almost obsessive desire to explore that which is dangerous, that which is scary, that which points towards obliteration, formlessness, a delight in exploring the body in its ways of being cut up, destroyed, mutilated. That's a very primal desire that we all have.
There does seem to be a connection between how acquainted we are with our own mortality and how much we want to see mortality and death expressed in our art and culture. If you look back a few generations, you'd expect within your family several of your siblings to have died. When these people died, they would be laid out in the front room. You'd go and see them there. Then afterwards, you'd probably sit down to a meal and where you'd be eating meat, and you'd be well aware that this slab of whatever it was had been living and breathing a few days back, and it might very well have been you that cut its throat. You knew that death is part of the very essence of life, and as we've begun to forget this, we seem to crave images of death and fear more and more.
I don't really have a good reason why I craved images of death or mutilation when I was younger, but I do remember sitting on the bleachers after school. My buddies and I, we used to compete to see who could come up with the most brutal metal lyric. And my favorite was Autopsy's Charred Remains. I'll just read a bit for you because I think you'll enjoy it. Burning from the inside out, bloody foam spews from your mouth. Smell the putrid stench of flesh as it burns you to your death. And like afterwards, we would always just like have like total round of high fives. Like, yeah, man, that was fucking brutal. That was awesome.
I still think this music is harmless entertainment, but a lot of people think that metal lyrics have a serious effect on kids. Over the past 20 years, metal artists such as Judas Priest, Ozzy Osbourne, Cannibal Corpse, Slayer, Marilyn Manson, and Slipknot have all come under fire for causing teens to commit murder or suicide. Although none of these cases have succeeded, the cases keep coming.
Every time a serial killer or a mass murderer or a Satanist or any evil person in our society, anytime that the media's found out that they've listened to heavy metal music, it has been blown up as the reason du jour for why this person is doing the things that they do. You know, aha! They were Manson fans, see? That's why they slaughtered all those kids in the high school.
American news especially keys in on violence, you know, and they're trying to promote, you know, how wonderful American society is, and all they show is bloodbath at high school in Denver, you know, and they use that as a byline for like 2-3 days, you know, and they sucker a lot of people in. One of the lines we wrote a while back, it's in Disciple actually, is the beauty of death we all adore, because TV sucks you in and makes you want to see more of it.
I do think it's crazy to somehow argue that there is no relationship between the imagery in metal and, you know, some teen suicides and some, you know, acts of violence. Sometimes metal messages are confusing. I mean, the song Suicide Solution is about drinking yourself to death. But I can understand why a 13-year-old kid might be confused by a song called Suicide Solution. Like, it's, you know, it's not, I'm not shocked that some kid listened to this and committed suicide over it, although it's weird in the sense that, like, if you're serious enough about Ozzy Osbourne to kill yourself over his lyrics, it seems weird you wouldn't read the liner notes more closely.
The most powerful predictor of whether someone will commit suicide is the feeling of helplessness. Nobody listens to heavy metal in order to feel helpless. They listen to metal in order to feel empowered and connected with other people. And that may be empowered through a song that's about suicide that makes you realize that you're not alone, you're not helpless. Other people are going through the same things. You don't need to kill yourself.
There's times when you're sitting there alone, you're thinking it can't get much worse than this, you know, and you're just looking for something to help, and music did that. It's never saying, you know, just give up.